Today I want to go over two things regarding community plugins in Obsidian: safety and future-proofness. I want to start with safety, and we need to go over a couple things first because I've seen a lot of misinformation online on this topic. Let's first go over what the Obsidian team has said regarding community plugins. On the Obsidian documentation, it is clearly written that community plugins can access files on your computer, connect to the internet, and even install additional programs. It also states that the developers are unable to manually review the community plugins. In other words, the Obsidian team has no control over these plugins, and even if they did, these plugins get updates all the time, and it would be unreasonable to expect the Obsidian team, which is really small, to go over and inspect the code each time a plugin gets updated. However, while they do admit that the risk is indeed there, they also mention that we should be able to trust most of the popular plugins. Alright, so with that out of the way, Obsidian, contrary to popular belief, is not open sourced. The plugins, however, are, and everyone is more than welcome to inspect the code of every plugin that they so desire. On the other hand, plugins get updates, and many of us simply don't have the time to go through every single update and inspect the code. Having said that, the Obsidian community is not only very active, but very technically inclined, and many people do inspect the code after every update and do monitor the app for outgoing connections, which I'll talk about in the later parts of this video. I also want to add that I've been using Obsidian since version 0.9, which was right around late 2020, and I have never heard of anyone getting compromised in any way, shape, or form, such as malware, ransomware, or any other malicious event. Of course, this doesn't mean it won't happen. So the question here is, are plugins safe? And the key word here is safe. If by safe we mean 0% risk, then no, they're not safe. But then again, by that standard, neither are browser plugins and many other apps that most people use on a daily basis. If anything, browser extensions are even less safe because the majority of those get updated automatically without our permission. Does that mean I don't use browser extensions? Not really. In fact, I even have a video about it, which I'm going to link to somewhere here on the screen. Much of the things that we do online on a day-to-day basis contain some form of risk. Even big companies such as Microsoft and Apple are not immune to attacks and exploits. There are tons of programs you've probably used in the last couple of days that have suffered plenty of vulnerabilities in the past, such as Microsoft Word, Excel, and so many others. And this is why I'm such a big proponent of strong backups. There's also a couple things that we, the users, can do to mitigate our risk when using community plugins. And the first of that is to not use hundreds of plugins. Only use plugins that actually add value to your workflow. This not only increases your security by decreasing the attack vectors, but it's also a good practice to not clutter your vault. This is also valid for apps on your phone or programs on your computer. Only keep what you really use. Secondly, stick to more popular plugins. If a plugin has 100 downloads or so, it also means there's less people keeping an eye on it. The most popular plugins in Obsidian, such as Calendar, Data View, Kanban, etc., have so many eyes on them that it's hard to conceive something bad happening and the community not catching it pretty much instantaneously, which in turn makes it much less likely that a malicious act would even happen in the first place. Another really good thing you can do, and this is valid not just for Obsidian but for plenty of apps that you probably use on a day-to-day basis, is to use a network monitor or firewall. These are apps that alert you whenever an app in your system tries to contact a remote server, and you can decide whether to allow that connection or not. If you're on Mac, you can use Little Snitch, it's paid but it's great, or something like Glasswire on Windows. I use Little Snitch for Obsidian, and all I did was whitelist the Obsidian servers because it's normal that Obsidian wants to communicate back with their servers to check for updates, and for as long as I've done this, the only requests my plugins made were to GitHub to check for updates. Lastly, and this is definitely 100% the most important of all, backups. I mean real backups, not just Cloud Sync. I made a video on backups a while ago, which is still relevant, and I'm going to link to it right here somewhere on the screen. I'm not even going to suggest sandboxing as a fifth option, because if you're concerned to the point of considering sandboxing, you probably wouldn't even consider community plugins in the first place. Okay, so let's now talk about future-proofness, because that is part of the reason why I chose and love Obsidian, as we're just using Markdown files, and our notes are local and not being held hostage by some proprietary format or ridiculous export options. But how does adding a bunch of community plugins affect our ability to one day migrate out of Obsidian if we so choose? And let me start by saying that I don't see myself moving out of Obsidian anytime soon. In fact, I hate changing major apps in my life. I'm more focused on getting work done rather than the never-ending quest of finding a shinier new app. But at the same time, we don't know what the distant future holds, right? And it's a good practice to not be tied to any software, not just Obsidian. So is adding a bunch of plugins making it harder to move? Well, it depends entirely on the plugin. I like to classify plugins between two different categories: intrusive and non-intrusive. Intrusive plugins are those that hurt the readability of your notes outside of Obsidian. An example of an intrusive plugin is Data View. If you open a Data View table in another software, all you'll see is a Data View query and you lose access to the actual Data View table. So while Data View doesn't hurt the readability of your notes per se, you will not have access to your Data View tables outside of Obsidian. An example of a non-intrusive plugin would be something like Templater. As per my last video, once you quote-unquote activate a templater function, it takes the form of its output. It's no longer a query like DataView. So when you open a note outside of Obsidian containing an already activated templater function, all you'll see in the note is the output of the templater function and not the function itself. Luckily, the vast majority of plugins are non-intrusive, meaning that all you lose is the ability to continue using them, which is expected. If you're not sure if one's intrusive or not, simply go to the root folder of your vault. In other words, go to where your vault lives in your machine and simply open a note where you're using the plugin in question and see for yourself if the notes are readable or not. But this is just one part of the equation, because even if all you have in your vault is non-intrusive plugins, if you use dozens of them and depend on them tremendously, it's still hurting the future-proofness of your workflow, as you will no longer be able to use those plugins if you migrate out of Obsidian. Personally, I have two rules for community plugins. The first is that I try to only use plugins that add a good amount of value to my workflow. And secondly, if I'm considering adding a plugin to my workflow, I always take into consideration if it's an intrusive plugin or not. If it's a non-intrusive plugin and adds value to my workflow, then I'll add it. However, if it's intrusive, then it has to be something that adds a lot of value to my workflow for me to even consider it. And just to touch upon the future-proofness of Obsidian, let me just say that Obsidian isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Obsidian is growing exponentially. The ecosystem is really robust, and even if the team consists of just 3 people, they have proven to be very dedicated and have a working business model. And lastly, if it somehow does fail and they stop developing completely, not only can you still continue using the current version of Obsidian that you have installed, but also nothing happens to your notes. You still have them, even if you have no backups. In contrast, if something like Notion closes down, that's it for your notes. So all in all, I feel safe using community plugins, and I feel more than safe regarding the future-proofness of my vault. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.